This is Bob Andelman, and you're listening to and hopefully watching the Mr. Media interview with Barbara Corcoran, one of the stars of ABC's Shark Tank, and whose updated memoir is Shark Tales: How I Turned $1,000 into a billion-dollar business. The show is brought to you today by Audible. Audible is offering Mr. Media listeners a free audiobook download and a free 14-day trial to give you a chance to check out their amazing service. You can choose a free audiobook from Audible's library of tens of thousands of titles, including today's top business bestsellers, such as The Big Idea by Donnie Deutsch, Jay Elliott's The Steve Jobs Way, or even Shark Tales: How I Turned $1,000 into a billion-dollar business by my guest today, Barbara Corcoran. You can even download the biography of a comic book and graphic novel legend, Will Eisner, called A Spirited Life, which I wrote and read. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/radio. Again, that's audibletrial.com/radio for your free audiobook. Competitive as everyone on Shark Tank is, I wondered if anyone is keeping a tally at this point of investments versus returns, or even just generally successes versus flops.
I think it's entirely too early to call not too early to call what the flop is. And nobody wants to admit defeat and brag about that. But certainly too early to discuss what the successes are. Because the clear successes are either that their sales have increased dramatically, and I think that's all that counts in a new business, and that's how I measure my successes and why I say the majority are successful, or you've gotten your cash back out by cashing out, and that's not going to happen for a few years with any of these businesses. So it depends how early you want your report card.
Okay. But no one's keeping tabs at this point? There's no...
Nobody really is, and can I tell you the truth? It's probably a good idea. I'm keeping tabs on my businesses, but when I'm with the other sharks off camera, we're always talking about what went down, what came up, but nobody's really got the numbers on that. It would be a good, hey, why don't you start collecting those numbers? You only have 5 sharks to call.
I'll just keep bringing you guys in subtly and saying, okay, let me see, you've got 2 that haven't worked out, and I guess nine that are up. Daymond, no, yeah.
You could drive a little competition, but you might get some lies that way too.
Gee, lies among business people? No, that'll never happen. Come on. Now, do you have a favorite or favorites among your male counterparts on the show?
Of course I do. I love Daymond the most. I'm just crazy about Daymond. If he was about 15 years older and didn't have a drop-dead gorgeous girlfriend, I would definitely marry him. And of course, I'd have the problem of getting rid of my husband. But Daymond is a sweetheart. You see a Daymond on air that I think you respect and like. If you were to know him personally, you wind up having a Daymond who is so funny you fall in love with. Daymond is very, very real, right? What you see is what you get, but you get a lot more if you know him a little bit better, you know? That's Daymond. So he's clearly my favorite, and I make no bones about it.
I'm
now,
not.
That's who I can't stand.
Yeah, who can't you stand?
Okay, are you kidding?
It's just me.
The bald-headed bastard, I call him, and that's not you. Okay, it's
oh, it's the other bald-headed bastard.
He's so tough. But personally, I love him. But on the show, I can't stand him. He's so tough. And what I object to in what he does is he not only tells someone their idea's no good, but he keeps it up until he basically tells them they're no good. Yeah. And I don't think you have to go that far. I just feel like he at times is so mean-spirited. I want to knock him on his knucklehead and get him off the set. But he just has to go for it until there's no more blood left in the corpse, and then he's happy. It's over and tells him to get off. Get out of here. It's like he's mean-spirited, and I don't think it's necessary.
Kind of the Simon Cowell of Shark Tank?
Oh, no. Simon Cowell looks like a cream puff by comparison. Oh, Simon tells the truth, but he leaves some ego intact, I think, from what I see.
Oy. Well, I want to talk to you about Shark Tales. But I got to say, as a business writer myself, I always skip to the acknowledgments section of the book to see if I know anybody that the author knows. And I was delighted to see that I guess your editor on this book was Adrian Zackheim. Who,
you know Adrian?
Yeah, I've done 2 books for Adrian. Great guy.
Yeah, he's a real pushy guy, and he's headstrong. Sometimes I don't always agree with him, but he's always dedicated to his authors without any doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I've had very good experiences.
I'll send you a photo of Adrian. I'll send you a photo of Adrian from our book party 2 nights ago. He's half naked. You'd never recognize the side of him. Don't tell them. But I'll send it to you, okay?
Okay,
Right
yeah,
after.
please. So, oh God,
You can't picture them like that, right? You will
I
soon.
don't know that I want to. Sh- so Shark Tales was previously published as the I believe as the hardcover was Use What You've Got, and
And
then
other business lessons I learned from my mom.
right, and then
And the
paperback it was
paperback.
if you don't have big breasts, put ribbons in your on your pigtails. So
Yeah.
I have to ask you, what will the graphic novel adaptation be called?
Oh gosh, I have no idea. You're going to have to think of something. I'm running out of titles. I did the first book, The Rags to Riches story, not for the paperback, of course. It was the same book. But for this book, I totally rewrote the book. And there are other lessons in there. I don't know if you picked up. I sure hope so.
I
We
did.
spent enough time on it. Then
I
there's a
did.
transitional piece. Good. That doesn't mean it's red. I don't. Looks
Oh,
pretty. Yeah.
it's definitely been read. Its the
Oh,
spine is
yeah.
bent.
Okay, you don't look like a liar anyway. I'm going to
Yeah.
take you on face value there. But I had to see those notches on the corner. But the middle section of that book, I think I've gotten a tremendous, surprising amount of feedback on already, which is going through transition and repackaging or reinventing yourself. People, particularly women, seem to respond to that. And then, of course, the Shark Tank story on the back end of the book was all the entrepreneurs that are winning. I left out the ones that were losing. I didn't want to embarrass them.
I noticed
But
that.
certainly the winning ones are there. And I think I'm learning so many lessons from them that I hadn't known from my own business.
It seems like there'll be a natural follow-through on this book in a year, 18 months, maybe 2 years, when you can go back to these 9 or well, however many there are then, and give us fuller
Ooh,
details about what's
I
happened with
hadn't
them.
give good thought on that. I hadn't even thought that far. I was just so busy. You know what a book deadline is. It kills you getting. It's like having a baby. It's exactly like that. So after that, you don't want to touch a book just like your pregnancy clothes. You don't want to go near thinking about another book. We'll have to see a year from now.
Yeah. Well, there are a couple of stories in the Barbara Corcoran canon that I'd love for you to retell. The first is, how many jobs did you go through? I mean, I know the answer. I'm asking kind of rhetorically, but tell folks how many jobs you went through before discovering your real calling in real estate. And then, at the end of that, tell us how you really made that $1,000 to start your real estate business.
Ooh, you
The
dirty
truth.
dog, you. You're getting all the dirt out here. I don't like guys like you, and you look so innocent at first. Well, I'll answer the first part of your question, but you're going to have to pay me to give me the second part. The first part is certainly I had so
Look at my
many
wallet.
jobs. Okay. Oh, good. Let's see the cash in that. Well, I want to have a good look at that.
I'm afraid we'll both be disappointed by what I find.
What do you
Oh, there's
have?
actually some cash. Hey,
Five, six,
five.
$7?
Yeah, I
to
got
get
nine. I
going
got
on?
$9.
Not enough. You're not getting the second story. I'll just give you the first half. And the answer
Ah.
is easy. I had 22 jobs before I went into the real estate business. And I have to admit, I loved every one of those jobs, the process of doing the jobs. It wasn't a job, well, that's not true. I was a nurse's ward assistant where I posted temperature charts every night. That was boring. I hated that job. But short of that one, I loved the 21. But you know what I didn't like about any of the jobs? There was one piece I never liked, and that was my boss. And so when I had the chance to start my own business, and when I was able to sleep with Ramon Simone and get that $1,000 out of him, then I was able to start the real estate business. And let me tell you, I didn't think there was any better chance of success for that as with any other job. All I knew was I was my own boss. And that was the important difference. And that I find is also an important difference of those people that love being entrepreneurs. They generally don't like their bosses. They love working for themselves. And so that was the lucky break, that 23rd job. Thank God for that one.
Um, how long did I was kind of wondering about those other jobs. How long did you tend to stay in them? I mean, 21 jobs in a fairly short period of
I
time.
realized I started the firm when I was 24, and I started working at 11. So I had all the summers I worked from 11 to 24.
Got it.
I had, by the time I moved to New York at 21, I think I had 7 different jobs before I started the real estate, kind of full-time jobs. So honestly, I didn't stay in the jobs very long.
Okay.
And truthfully, I got bored pretty quickly doing the same thing. You know, mundane jobs, you do the same thing again and again. The most exciting jobs I ever had were my 2 waitressing jobs. They were always the best.
I didn't realize the count went back to 11. I was thinking it was more of a compressed time. So that works out, though. That makes sense. I saw this interview that you did several years ago on YouTube talking about how you were the first or one of the first in Manhattan to use video for your real estate business.
Thank
And
God.
and that did not work well. However, that led you to be one of the first to go on the internet. which that succeeded. Was that as risky as it? I mean, today we look and go, oh, of course you'd be in video, and of course you'd be in the internet. But that was about 1990, 1991?
It was 90 to 91. Yes, you're right. So you want me to speak to that?
Yeah, I'm just curious what that was like at the
I
time.
your question was it risky? It was risky because I had taken the $71,000 profit for the year. It was the first year I ever made a profit, and I was pulling in very little money myself, barely enough to pay my rent. But with that $71,000, when I saw it coming in 2 months before it came in, I had it spent. And how I spent it was on producing videos on every single apartment we had for sale. At the time, we probably had, in that year, maybe 50 brokers, the most. And we each had like 5 or 6 listings. That's a lot of video, and it was expensive then. And not only did I spend the money on the video, but I spent money on a professional makeup person to make my agents look good. And it was so exciting. I knew I had a slam dunk hit on my hands. The minute I thought about it and announced it, I was so excited. But the truth is, it was a failure. It was dead on arrival. And the reason for that is I had put each of my salespeople's faces with the apartment, with their phone number. And so the less pretty agents didn't want to hand out the video because they were afraid that their customers might, of course, prefer to work with the younger or the prettier agent. It was bizarre. I forgot about the ego factor.
Wow.
So the videos were not handed out in short. People were too insecure. But as luck would have it, and as most good things in life, it's making something good out of something bad. I just didn't want to admit how bad my idea was. And I simply got from my Navy husband at the time, Bill, who I'm still married to, that he had played war games in Korea on this new thing, he said, called the internet. And he was so excited, even though he played those war games with the Navy every year. And I said, what's so different? He said, because we played it in real time on this new thing called the internet. And that was my face save. I thought, crap, I'm going to put those videos on this new thing called the internet and tell them that was my plan in the first place. And so I announced that Monday that we had taken their properties beyond the video into cyberspace, and people clapped for me. What a genius, what a genius. I was just saving face. But my God, was I shocked. That week, bang, bang, both from London, we got 2 customers that sent us an email and wanted to see properties that we showed there. I knew I had stepped into the big kahuna. And frankly, I immediately registered all my competitors' URLs, not because I wanted to steal their URLs, but I thought, I'm onto something and I want to know when they're onto it. And do you know, it was almost 3 years before a single competitor called and begged me for their URLs. And I, of course, handed it back. But at least I knew one by one who was waking up. But do you know what an advantage is in any medium? To be 3 years ahead, to quietly practice and try this and try that and be making sales in a medium that nobody knew nothing about. What luck was that? But of course it was born out of failure. You know, really, I think, thank God for the videos. Not that I am proud of that, but I'm sure happy I made that mistake to make the other accidental success.